Hello YouTubers, I thought I'd do a little test video. Usually I have a lot of trouble because I'm left-handed and it seems like my hand has been obscuring my voice from the microphone, because I've noticed going back and looking at some of my videos, my voice kind of goes in and out, where at one point you can hear me clearly and then other times you're going, okay, where'd he go? What's he doing? But thought I'd do a new technique. Try to use a microphone on a set of earbuds to see if it's a little bit more consistent and possibly a little bit better audio. So anyway, I wanted to show you guys our prototypes of the front plates for our homemade traction devices for leaf spring cars. We don't want to copyright infringe someone's name, but basically we made templates out of plastic cutting boards, then had these plates punched out. Actually, I think they cut it out with like a flame cutter or some kind of a CNC machine, and then punched the holes with like a heavy multi-ton press. But this is my 4 plates. You may not be able to see in the video, but each 2 plates are just tack welded together. That's what guarantees that your holes are line up perfectly per 2. The rear plates we custom made because the plans online at v8s10.org have you set it up like the name brand, leaf spring traction devices, with making a new bottom plate for your leaf spring. But we didn't want to do that because, well, I for one wanted to keep the factory lower plate on the leaf springs so that I could keep my shock mount location. Otherwise, you have to fabricate and add a new shock mount location or a new shock lower mount, to that flat plate, because the instructions that we found on the internet on how to make your homemade traction devices for leaf sprung cars, plain flat plate underneath there works great for mounting your rear end, but then it gives you no place to attach your shock to. So we custom modified the plans that you can find on that website on how to make your traction devices, and made them to where you can actually just weld them to your factory lower plate, and that creates your rear mount, because you have their pivot points basically front and rear. So you've got your rear plates that mount to under the rear end. Then you have these plates that are on the vise that actually mount up front to your front spring eye. So anyway, you guys, anybody who's seen those traction devices can clearly see where we're going with this, only at a fraction of the cost. I think we figured it up, but we're going to have not quite $80 in each set. So that's a pretty good savings, over $360 on eBay. But, there's an old saying, poor people have poor ways. Well, I'm just cheap. And I'd rather just try to build something than try to blow a bunch of money for no reason. So keep your money in your pocket, build your power and your traction in your car the way you are able to, and that way you can enjoy it. So I was going to do a little short update while we're videoing. I'm kind of out of sanding rolls right now, but if you'll look in here, sorry about that, all I'm doing now is just sanding roll work. The bowl cuts, bowl blends, surface texturing, and yet it's hard to tell with this phone, but I'm doing the exhaust ports 120 or finer, and the intake ports are staying at that rough, I'm not sure if you call that 80 grit or not, But I'm trying to keep it at a 60 to 80 grit on the intake side, and then 120 or finer on the exhaust. But you can see everything is smooth and blended seamlessly on the bowl cuts and bowl blends. If you back up here, yeah, the light helps a lot because I'm not 100% done with those exhaust ports. But you can see how shiny the surface gets just with a 100, I think they're considered 120 grit roll. And then, like I've mentioned previously, within a very short amount of time, they're way finer than 120 grit, because if you keep going with them and they don't fly apart on you, they'll just darn near mirror polish it if you keep going. But you can see down here that other head, because I finished it first, you know, as far as it being equally as done as the head that's on the bench. Sorry about that. But you can see, yeah, they're equally as shiny as the one on the bench. But again, like we talked about before, when you want to do a glamour shot to sell your port work and to make it look good, you bounce light through it. So you can see the difference between that exhaust port and its finish and this port. When you bounce light, they both have the exact same finish to them at this point, but when you bounce light through there, it makes a huge difference. So anyway, all the main part of the porting is done. I'm just going over the ports because on these LS heads, there's actually a small portion of the intake port. It'd be the inside wall, like your inside fat wall on the intake port. Super hard to reach. Like, you have to reach down in there and just be super careful not to let your tool touch anything it's not supposed to on the seats, to just kind of clean up the casting flash in that area. But heads turned out really nice. I can't wait to finalize this little bit of sanding roll work I have, wash these things up and get them blown out real good. And then I'm going to CC one intake port and one exhaust port, compare it to the numbers we had when we started. Then again, I told you I would measure again the intake bowl and exhaust bowl, and go ahead and release that information, you know, so you guys will see. And again, I told you these these intake seats had a multi-angle valve job on them, and they truly, I'm going to say, had a large bowl cut on them. And I didn't really like that number was above my normal 89. I try not to go over 89% on the intake, and I bet you these are every bit of 90. But I'll measure them, kind of release that information as I can. There again, I got to run to the store, try to get some more sanding rolls, because I don't know, they go really fast, because the only ones I had in stock, as they say, were just some leftover Harbor Freight sanding rolls, or abrasive cartridges, which I hate to use because they wear out so fast. But because we have a Harbor Freight here locally in town, when you're in a pinch, it's easier just to run up there and grab a $20 thing of these stupid rolls and, you know, get you through. So anyway, like I've said before, Standard Abrasive makes a really good quality sanding roll. The Eastwood company sells a pretty good roll, which is probably made by Standard Abrasives, if we're really going to be picky about it. But sanding rolls do have quality. Harbor Freight is not the quality. So anyway, I just wanted to do a video kind of talking about where we were at, because these aftermarket all pro heads are all, you know, basically done. I'm just finishing them up, making them look pretty, and maybe helping it flow a 1 CFM, I don't know. And then I wanted to talk about those plates, because we've got the front and back plates. Now we have the 1-inch bar. We'd have to order our Heim joints, and I think that's it, because we've already got the grade 8 hardware bolts, you know, front and rear. So the only thing we have to really order is our heim joint. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching these videos. I enjoy putting them up, and I like to be able to show people what you can do if you just kind of put your mind to it. You guys keep watching. I'll keep making videos.